I'm over here at Otford Tunnel. Now, this is one of 7 tunnels that were built around Helensburgh in 1888, and they basically formed the gateway to what was the old South Coast rail line connecting Wollongong to Sydney. So, over the years as the population grew and the demand for the use of the tunnel increased, the fact that these were only single track tunnels and the technology just wasn't there all those years ago to widen the tunnels, the government decided to build a whole new set of bigger, wider tunnels, eventually abandoning these in 1915. Now, I can tell you at least 2 of these tunnels were used to grow and harvest mushrooms. One of the tunnels, the one that was near Waterfall train station, was opened up and widened for the existing rail line to run through. And one of the tunnels, because it is quite a wet, damp tunnel, has become the perfect environment to host a very, very healthy population of glowworms. So, for those of you who've been doing your research, I do know there is actually an 8th tunnel that was built a little bit further down south at Clifton, and it's currently still the only single track tunnel in use on the new rail line. What I plan to do is take you on a visual journey back in time as we explore the 6 remaining tunnels around Helensburgh, beginning with the tunnel just behind me over here, Otford Tunnel. So what can I tell you about Otford Tunnel? This tunnel does have a heritage listing on there because of its significant structural design, and it was one of the longest single track tunnels to have been built back in its day. Being a long tunnel, which is over 1.6 kilometres, it did have its problems as its reputation as being an extremely hot tunnel. Now, the fact that this was built on a gradient of 1 in 40, which means for every 40 metres it rises a metre, the trains were having a lot of trouble climbing out of this tunnel. And when the southerly wind was blowing in, it was also blowing the steam and soot back into the carriages, making it quite a dangerous, uncomfortable ride. The government did try to rectify the problem in the late 1800s by building a large air shaft around halfway through here, which we'll visit a bit later on, and also at the other end of the tunnel, building an exhaust fan. Not too sure how it actually helped. I can also tell you back in 1959, the Eden Industries began productions of a very successful business of growing and harvesting mushrooms. I think I've done enough talking today. By the way, if you do follow me on Facebook and you like what you see, you may even want to subscribe to my channel. It's only $1.49 per month, which is equal to, say, shouting me around about 3 cups of coffee a year. And hey, I love my coffee. All right, torches on. Yep, Otford Tunnel. Oh my God. It's a fancy artwork, isn't it? Wow. Some size. So we're about halfway through Otford Tunnel. I had an interesting story passed on to me about a George Trivers or Trives, and he was a fireman that used to work on the steam trains on this line here. So what the driver used to do was to stop the train before entering the tunnel, and both of them would get these Hessian bags, I think they call them chaff bags, and they'd soak them in the tender. That's the water on the train there. So they'd soak these bags, the driver would put the train in full speed, both would lie on the plate floor, bags over the top of them, and by the time the train had exited the tunnel, the bags were almost completely dry with steam coming off it. So it just gives you a bit of an idea of how hot and dangerous this tunnel was. We did talk earlier about the government rectifying the problem, and one of the solutions was to build this air shaft just directly above me over here. All right, okay. Thankfully I've got the extra torch in me. This is one tunnel, especially being over 1.5 kilometres long. You do not want to run out of power. I'll give you a bit of an idea what it's like with no light in here. Imagine 1.5 kilometres of this with all these little holes and creek running through it. Watch this. That's our visibility. Absolutely nothing. We're just over here in the bush around the Garrawarra State Recreation Area, and the sounds of the cicadas are absolutely deafening. getting through the lantana. Oh wow, that certainly was a bit of an effort getting up here. I hate lantana, got cuts all over me, steep bank, muddy, slippery. Finally got here, so we're at the Lilyvale tunnels, Lilyvale 1 and 2. 2 behind me over here, and 1 which is the shorter tunnel. It's only about 100 metres in the opposite direction. There was a township of Lilyvale around here, no longer exists. It's gone back into a little bit of farmland. And believe it or not, there was also a station up here as well. And that possibly would have been for the coal mine just down the road over here. No more talking, torches on, Lilyvale 2.
We're about to have a beautiful time. Positive vibes, let's go. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yep. Even worse, I'm sick and tired of barely getting by. Yep. You wanna know the truth, keep this between us. Yeah, I got a job, but I'm only making peanuts. My bank account is so, my pocket's kinda thin. I ain't need to carry it every now and then.
Now, this is going to be the only place where you're going to actually see both tunnels side by side. So we've got the single track tunnels which were replaced in 1915 by the larger tunnels just to the side of me over here. Okay, so we're over at Lilyvale 1 tunnel. So the story has it that a coal miner walking through this tunnel on the way home got hit and killed by a train, and that his ghost still haunts the tunnel. Let's check it out. Over the years, I've been through a number of different disused rail lines, and I have to say that this tunnel here is one of the all-time favourites for me. This is the old Metropolitan tunnel. So what makes this so special? It's just when you look around, it's got that original eerie authenticity from its surroundings to the train tracks going through to the tunnel. You're still sort of feeling like you're back in time and you're going to get a steam train coming out of this tunnel. And just to the side of me over here is what is the original platform of what was Helensburgh's first train station. In 1929, the Metropolitan Coal Company, which is actually still in existence, blocked the other side of the tunnel and put a plug halfway through the tunnel, making the Metropolitan Tunnel a reservoir for the coal mine. Now, this actually, over the years, had its benefit because it's made this quite a wet tunnel, making it the perfect environment for a very, very healthy population of glowworms. All right, enough talking. Torch is on. Let's go check it out. Wow, it's the Milky Way inside here. Absolutely stunning. Now the sounds you're going to hear inside here, this clunking sort of sound, they're actually marsh frogs. So we're heading, say, around about 150, 200 metres in the opposite direction over here to Helensburgh Tunnel. They get a bit confused. This is actually the Metropolitan Tunnel, and Helensburgh Tunnel just straight ahead. Loving it. Now we're over the other side of the Metropolitan Tunnel, and this is Helensburgh Tunnel. It was one of the tunnels that was also said to have grown mushrooms. Not too sure. It's one of the smaller tunnels. I can't see them doing much productions of mushrooms in here. Not going to need a torch for this one here. Torch is off. This is going to be quick. done 5 of the tunnels so far. We're looking for Cawley's Tunnel. So a little bit of a bush bash, not much I believe, and just listen around, sounds of summer, cicadas, beautiful. All right. So I know we're not too far away from Cawley's Tunnel now. You can see the concrete slab down here. This is one of the tunnels that was used to harvest mushrooms. So I can only imagine this is where they're packing mushrooms. Would have been a lot of dwellings on here. Now looking around from what I can see, someone's made it into a skate park. Have a go at little ramps over here. Nice. And I believe the tunnel would be somewhere following the line through here. Well, that certainly has been a bit of an adventure getting here. I've got to start off by telling you that I've been back to some of these tunnels a number of times to re-record, because just by chance this year happens to be one of the biggest and loudest years for cicadas on record, with just about every species of cicadas coming out of the ground, giving us those special sounds of summer on steroids. Back to the tunnels. We began our journey down south at Otford Tunnel, working our way up north along the line, eventually arriving to the last tunnel on the list, just behind me over here, Cawley Tunnel. Now this was one of the tunnels that did grow mushrooms. It was quite a successful business. You saw the size of the slab that we passed over, and that would have been a large structure, a large factory there for processing. One of my followers did pass on an interesting story to me, and that was her father was a foreman back in the 70s and 80s in these tunnels, and she used to come here on the weekends as a kid to earn some extra pocket money. One of the jobs they gave her was driving a small train into the tunnels, where the workers would throw the completed peat bags in the back of the carriages, and she'd drive it back out to the factory for processing. So it's a story that just gives you a bit more of a real feeling of what was happening around here. Cawley itself, there was a township of Cawley back in the late 1800s. It did house hundreds of people, most of them working on the rail line. I'd say some possibly working in the coal mine as well. They had a small school here that housed took up about 50 students. They also had a post office like any small town around Australia, possibly even a general store in the post office as well. I can't say how a township just suddenly disappears, but Cawley no longer exists, and it has gone back into the Garrawarra State Conservation Area. That just about wraps that up. Now, I hope you've enjoyed my version of the Helensburgh tunnels. If you do, you can follow me on Facebook, maybe even leave me a comment, or go that step further and subscribe to my page. All right, tunnel, got the torch, Cawley Tunnel.